Hey guys, welcome to a segment of Step Back 3 Sports Cast. I'm your host, DJ Joe and Hank. Today, we're going to talk about the upsets in the NHL and the NBA playoffs. And other important things. So, we're going to start with the National Hockey League playoffs. As you guys all know, the Dallas Stars and the Nashville Predators played, and the Predators won 2-1 in overtime as they tied up the series 1-1. But Dallas took the home ice advantage back as Game 3 is on in Dallas. Next series is the Washington Capitals blew a lead against the Carolina Hurricanes, but they still won 4-3 in sudden death overtime as they lead 2-0. The most fun series we're going to talk about right now is Game 2 as Boston Bruins woke up and stepped up as they beat the Toronto Maple Leafs 4-1 as the series is tied 1-1 as Game 3 is in Toronto on Monday night at 7 o'clock as the Calgary Flames are playing Colorado Avalanche. Game 2 is underway as we speak, and it's 5 minutes down. It's still 0-0. The news came in today that Nikita Kucherov has been suspended for Game 3 in Columbus for a late hit in Game 2. So, are the Lightning done? Or Stamkos, Hedman, all the boys need a brain point? They need to play a great game in Game 3. Or else it's done for the Tampa Bay Lightning, who had a franchise-winning season. As tomorrow is Game 3 between the New York Islanders and the Pittsburgh Penguins is a late noon start. The Game 3 between the Lightning and Columbus is at 7 o'clock. Game 3 for the Sharks and Knights and the Jets and the Blues. So enough for the NHL playoffs. Now we're talking about the NBA playoffs. Day 1. So the first game of the day was between the Brooklyn Nets and the Philadelphia 76ers as the Nets, 6-seeded Nets, pull an upset and beat the Philadelphia 76ers 111-102. D'Angelo Russell finished with 26 points, 3 rebounds, 4 dimes, and Joel Embiid finished with 22 points, 15 rebounds, 4 dimes, and 5 rejections. But the story of this game was Jimmy Butler scoring 36 points, 9 rebounds on 11 for 22 from the field, which is 50%. Embiid and Butler combined for 33 free throws. But they lost to Brooklyn, and the other story is Joel Embiid and Amir Johnson, who didn't play, were caught laughing and looking at Amir Johnson's phone, and that's why Amir Johnson was fined for using phone on a bench. So they need to stop playing around and win, because you don't want to lose in the first round. So next game was also an upset. It was Game 1 between the Orlando Magic and the Toronto Raptors, as Magic won by 3 points, 104-101. DJ Augustine got the winning 3-pointer with 3 seconds left. He finished with 25 points and 6 dimes. And for the Raptors, their top performer was Siakam, who scored 24 points, 9 boards, and 4 dimes. But the story here was Kyle Lowry played 34 minutes, scored 0 points. You don't go into fucking playoff game and score fucking 0 points. Are you kidding me, Kyle Lowry? You're the franchise point guard. They give you a big contract and you go to a playoff game in your home, game 1, and score 0 points?
That's embarrassing. Oh, that's embarrassing. Jeez.
So what the fuck, Kyle Lowry? What is this, Kyle Lowry?
This is a major episode.
Yes, man, you gotta come up. So, the thing I don't understand, so, Danny Green scored 13 points, but had 4 fouls. Van Fleet scored 14 points. Ibaka only played 19 minutes. Marc Gasol only scored 13. Kawhi Leonard, when he was good, 25.6 boards, 10 for 18. So Siakam and Leonard were very efficient from the field. Kyle Lowry shot 0 for 7. You don't go to a playoff game and play over 30 minutes and go 0 for 7 and 0 points. And yes, he still grabbed 7 boards and the aces. But you can't go to a game and score 0. That is not great. Jeremy Lin didn't play. You should have played him. And you should have played Ibaka more. For the Magic, their leading scorer was the point guard DJ Augustine. Played 30 minutes, scored 25 points on 9 for 13, which is 69%. You don't let an opposing point guard at home and let a guy go 69% from the field and got the game-winning 3. They played Gideon T. Ross and Evan Fournier and Nikolai Vucevic, who shot 3 for 14, but at least he got points on a board. So that was a huge win for Orlando Magic. But the Raptors need to step up on Monday night. Well, so things is about to go down the drain again. So next series, when we talk about the Golden State Warriors beat the Clippers 121 to 104. There were a couple ejections, but we'll talk about that after, talk about soon. So the leading scorer for the Clippers was off the bench Lou Williams and Montrezl Harrell, who scored over 25 points. But for the Warriors, Draymond Green was actually good, 17 points, 7 rebounds, 7 assists. Curry was the best player in this game. He's a point guard and scored 38 points. He also grabbed 15 rebounds and 7 assists. Clay only scored 12, and DeMarcus Cousins, who fouled out as well, scored 21. So Kevin Durant of the Golden State Warriors and Patrick Beverley of the LA Clippers got ejected for having technical fouls and heating late in the game. So game 2 is on Monday night, 10:30 start. Clippers will be looking to bounce back. The game going on right now is game 1 between the Spurs and the Nuggets. Right now, the Nuggets lead 12-11 with 6 minutes left. So, what a stories in NBA. Raptors got stunned by DJ Augustine. Durant Beverly got ejected. Curry passed Ray Allen for most 3-pointers in playoff history. 76ers fined Amir Johnson for using phone on a bench. And tomorrow's game, we got an early start between the Boston Celtics and the Indiana Pacers at 1 o'clock. The OKC played the Blazers at 3:30. The Bucks and the Pistons play at 7. And the last game is the Utah Jazz play against James Harden and the Houston Rockets. So, I have a question for you, Hank. Do you believe in, if your team is the underdog and you win the first game in their house, do you like? What's like? Does your motivation increase?
If
Because
I win the game in my house, in my home,
no. If you win a game in their home,
in their home, in my team's home.
no, your team's on the road and you beat a team that's on their home,
Oh,
and
right.
and they're in a higher standing than.
And they're in the high. Oh yeah, then I feel very, very confident, man. I'd be boosted up, you know.
So
Boost up my motivation.
yeah, so
Makes me
Bro-
hype.
Brooklyn played really well. Philly didn't because Joel Embiid was injured. But you're a point guard, Mr. Simmons, Ben Simmons. You played 32 minutes. You only scored 9 points. You only had 3 assists and had only 7 rebounds. Like, what are you doing, bro? Even Marjanovic had more points than your non-jumping shooting ass. JJ Redick scored only 5 points. He fouled out, but you don't score 5 points in a playoff game when you're the starting shooting guard.
That was a fluke.
Tobias Harris played 41 minutes and only scored 4 points. Jeez, that was a bad game by the Sixers. But for the Nets, even though D'Angelo Russell shot 10 for 25, he scored 26 points. Davis grabbed 16 boards. Lever scored 23 off the bench. So the Nets upsetted the 76ers. But game 2 will be huge story because Joel Embiid might not play. And I think Embiid is playing through injury right now, which is not great. So we will see for the NBA playoffs and the NHL playoffs. So now we're moving on from talking sports. We'll be talking a specific discussion. So I'll give you Hank to start you off with our new discussion.
The weather. It's awesome.
Are you kidding me right now? Are you kidding me right now? Did you not prepare for this episode? Guys.
I'm joking. I just wasn't sure if I wanted to talk about it on the podcast. It just started out as a private thing, you know, it's a private discussion, and then Joe, you're like, oh, save it for the podcast, save it for the podcast, save it for the podcast.
Okay, but so I want to talk to you guys about minimum wage. Well, we live in Ottawa, but the minimum wage. So I'll give my opinion and then Hank will give his. So the minimum wage. So what is the minimum wage right now?
So Ontario's like $14.
So the minimum wage is $14, right?
Yeah, in
But
Ontario.
yeah, but that's garbage, man. Because before they increased the wage, everything was good. But since they increased the wage, it doesn't mean anything because they increase everything else. So, so now they're gonna increase it. Apparently, they said they're gonna increase it to 50. They said in January, this past January, they were gonna increase it, and then they moved it to November or October.
Yeah.
But I heard Ford is not gonna allow it. He's gonna switch it back to like 13 something.
13 something.
So what is your opinion on that, Hank?
My opinion on that? Man, we shouldn't have a freaking minimum wage. That's my opinion. Because all it does is just it kills. Either it kills jobs or it just does nothing.
Yeah, but
Because you gotta think about what it is. You gotta think what it is.
Yeah, but
it's
how
a price floor.
Yeah, but you gotta set a rate for like.
You don't have to.
Yeah, but if you work in a fine dining restaurant and there's a chef, sous chef, baker, kitchen manager, cooks, dishwasher. So you're not gonna you gotta treat everybody fair. So you can't pay this guy $30 an hour and then pay the other cook $20 and the other cook 12, and then it's gonna cause problems. That's why they have that minimum wage. So when you get hired, they give you a minimum wage and like that. Because when you get hired, they're not gonna pay you what $30 an hour. You gotta prove to them that you're good enough, you're good work, then they'll increase it. But that's why there's a minimum wage for a reason. But I know a lot of people who worked at a specific place for so many years and they still have the minimum wage. So, like, what about you, Hank? Like,
The thing is, you don't need that because all you're doing with minimum wages, you're saying, okay, it's illegal for you to like pay somebody below this wage. That's what you're saying. That's what it is. But like, if like the employer sets like the wage for their employees, he can be fair and he can be a bit unfair. But if he is unfair, there's always somebody else. There's always another restaurant that's like more fair. You know what I mean?
yeah,
Like we don't need like to force like people to like pay you this amount or this amount because you're gonna cause problems, especially for people who are like young who are just starting out, looking for jobs, right? Who don't have experience. They're gonna be shunned out because if they're not gonna get their first job, they're not gonna go anywhere, right? Because when you raise like the minimum wage, especially that high, the employer's gonna be like, okay, if I'm gonna hire somebody, I don't have to train them. You know what I mean? They'll just be like, well, they're supposed to know like everything if I hire them. And if they don't, like, if somebody doesn't have any experience, I'm not gonna hire them. Forget it. You know?
yeah, but we'll wait and see if they're gonna release it to 15 or if they're gonna bring it back. Because
but the thing is, people have to understand is, like, you hear in the news, like, minimum wage went up, and then you have jobs created whatsoever. Those two things have nothing to do with each other. If there are jobs that are created, it has nothing to do with minimum wage. There are other reasons, right? Because the minimum wage, what it does is that it sets a floor. That's what it is. You're just raising the floor, right? And people who are like struggling, who don't have experience, they're not gonna be on that floor. They're just gonna be shunned out of the market.
yeah, you're right. But this is a short discussion. But thanks for sorry about that. Thanks for tuning in to episode 18. Make sure to check us out on Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, Spotify, Google, all those apps you can listen to us. And thanks for everyone. I once again want to thank everybody that have supported our podcast so far. Keep supporting us, and we'll be glad to shout you out. And check us out on YouTube, subscribe to us, and we'd like to shout out a couple of people. From my end, I would like to shout out my boy Brando613, Liquor Drinks, DeAndre, TJ, and all the sports fans that like our podcast. And Hank, who would you like to shout out?
I'd like to shout out to, well, I don't have anybody in particular.
Okay, but I also forgot I want to shout out Kevin G, Kevin Guardado, Sammy G,
Henry, shout out to Henry,
and Sean,
Scott,
Sean, our New York fan, and poor Scott, who's cheering for a horrible team called the Pittsburgh Steelers. Aye? Shit. But thanks for tuning in, guys, to episode 18. It's been a long road, but thanks for everybody who shared our podcast and who's tuned in from episode 1 to 18. Make sure to like, share it, tell your friends, family, and we'll be glad to reward you with a free jersey of your choice. But if you got questions, you want to join our podcast, you want to come in as a guest, email us in our social media or email us at our email. DJ_Joseph at step sb3sportspodcast.com. Well, thanks for tuning in, guys, and enjoy your weekend. Peace. Peace. Aye.